Hello and welcome to round 2 with Jeskai Control, where we are on the play again. And we immediately mulligan a one-lander, immediately mulligan another one-lander. Worth noting that our opponent is Sam Party and is 100% playing green-black because that's just what he plays in this format and played, to his Pro Tour Top 4 finish at Pro Tour Eldritch Moon. Just no chance he's playing anything else. This hand's reasonable. 3 lands is about all I can ask for Gear Hulk to get somewhere. I ship random extra land that's going to enter the battlefield tap because that's already going to be an issue with this hand. Just get a tap land on the battlefield, get another tap land on the battlefield. Maybe my other lands will enter the battlefield on tap. Worth noting, Sam has mulliganed this game. Yeah, play our untap land while we can. Not any real interesting things going on, and we get lucky. We get very lucky because we top deck basically the best possible card. And Sam bricks. So at this point, I don't really have anything to leave up. So I'm just going to fire main phase to try and hit land drops into an aggressive Gear Hulk to actually kill Sam. And I keep one of these to ensure I hit the land drop this turn, but I don't really want to hit a tap land drop next turn. So I ship the other one to bottom. I just draw more and more glimmers, which is really nice. Facing down, random creature. Doesn't matter too much. I don't want to get hit by the Grim Flare, because that looks like Delirium deck kind of cascade draw steps. And that's just how I lose this game, I feel like. So I go with the reasonably mana efficient draw spell plus make my opponent sacrifice a creature. Didn't need to do that in response, but was getting some F6 value in. And Sam gets back the Grim Flare. Traverses for a Pilgrim's Eye, which implies, I think importantly, Pilgrim's Eye implies that he has a Emrakul access in hand. Which, at this point, I kind of determine I just want to attack his mana. So I just fire a Void Shatter. Pretty unashamed. And I get to rebuff the Grim Flare. And now I just pass with a counter Hulk up. And from here I have reasonable control of the game. Different Pilgrim's Eye, and I've committed to countering these to prevent a potential future Emrakul. So shattered away. Sam obviously, gets a rebuy, but not a Pilgrim's Eye because those are just gone. From here, I'm just in beatdown mode. Especially because I can counter an Ishkana with the rebuff from my graveyard. Which, as I just said, is what I can do. And Sam concedes the game in the face of double threat that was going to put him to 5 that he can't really answer. Also worth noting that even if he had a follow-up Ishkana, I could Flames it away. Which means the only card in his deck that's capable of stopping this is the Gear Hulk plus a land off the top, except for the part where the Gear Hulk's in the graveyard. I'm pretty sure they only usually have one. Okay, to go over sideboarding, I took out Radiant Flames Fumigate. Not good against green-black. You're not sweeping random low-end threats. The best thing Radiant Flames does is kill Ishkana stuff. I took out a rebuff because I think post-board these games are likely to go longer just due to the discard spells. It's more likely to get blanked. The first one's fine, but not huge on the second. Took out Blessed Alliance, just doesn't seem great here. Immolating Glare, just reactive removal, not great. Even though I do need to kill Flare, so I have ways to do that. And then this Glare is there because I do need to kill Hissing Quagmire. Blessed Alliance can be, sacking something else that doesn't die, or that is harder for me to kill. I just want to kill the Quagmire if needed. I took out the Quarantine Field because I was afraid of getting blown out on it. And I did not. The thing that I did notice, I'll talk about that in a second, but this negate should be in my deck. I didn't think about it at the time and immediately noticed it after, but I want to be able to counter discard spells with it. So I sideboarded into Gideon's. Obviously, additional threats are going to be great against the black-green deck, repositioned to be able to take over games that they don't, they try to go longer in, kill them before Emrakul resolves. I boarded in Spell Quellers just as another proactive card along the same lines. And I boarded in Summary Dismissal, obvious answer to Emrakul. And I sideboarded in the Descend Upon the Sinful as a way to just sweep away stuff, rectify a board, make a 4 for Angel. Just a powerful effect in a mid-range-ish mirror post sideboard. It's not really control versus mid-range post board once they have the discard spells. It feels very mid-range mirrory at that point. So, game 2 here against Sam Party on Black-Green Delirium. This hand, I looked at it, it's good. You just know your exact way to lose is Liliana, and if that card ticks up fast enough, it's going to be a problem. And then I realized something pretty sweet, and that's that you can Summary Dismissal a Liliana Ultimate. Yeah, that's just really cool. I did not think about being able to counter abilities, specifically Planeswalker Ultimates, with this card. And that kind of flexibility, I think, is one of the big draws to it. So, nothing too interesting going on yet. Just playing our obvious tap land, untap land. Sam Vessels hitting a Liliana that I was just saying, oh no. And now I realize I can, oh wait, Summary Dismissal for it. And it looks like, again, we have a land-like game. But Sam is playing respectful of my counter spells and opts not to run Liliana into them, especially when it's not able to, it's just going to tick up to 4 and then there's no creature for it to minus on. It's not really doing anything at this point. And here I opted to take the hit rather than be mana efficient on Anticipate Glare. So there's stuff I want to counter this turn, like Ishkana or whatever. And I think that if I get to Nahiri minus on the Mind Rack, I'm in a better spot. The second Mind Rack is kind of obnoxious, but I just use the counterspell on it anyways, because I have multiple Gear Hulks to reuse the Dismissal on an Emrakul. So I do the exact thing I was talking about. And if Sam wants to trade his entire turn of Quagmire attacking Nahiri here and letting me untap with a potential Gear Hulk, I'm fine with that. The only thing is this does expose me to Pick the Brain. But, yeah. So I'm going to have to fight through an Ishkana, which is going to get a little annoying. So I filter away the Immolating Glare so I have something to flash back with my Gear Hulk. The other option is I could have played Gideon and passed with the removal spell up, but I don't think that's enough against the... It might be enough, actually. I think I missed that play the first time around. I think that might have been the right play. Though I guess one of my Planeswalkers then gets attacked down, so maybe the Gear Hulk. That's actually pretty close. I could have discarded Anticipate and just effectively filtered it into a real card. So everything shoves at Nahiri. We'll give Magic Online a second to think. And I'll think about this Gideon play. I just didn't even think about that at the time. Yeah, using a Gear Hulk for that might have been wrong. I maybe should have tried to stabilize a little with Gideon. Though I guess, no, the Gideon play is pretty bad against spot removal, though. I guess I still get to kill the Ishkana and only... You can't spot removal with the Quag. Yeah, I should have... Yeah, I should have Gideon. It doesn't even get to kill a Planeswalker because I get to block the Quagmire. So I definitely should have cast Gideon this turn. I messed that up. Just pass with Glare up. So I Gear Hulk, Glare, and Sam's got a pretty nice one. So I get 2 of the slaughtered, but Ishkana's dead, Gideon's dead. and Sam takes my last Gear Hulk with a Transgress. So we're now on this weird grindy plan. Yeah, I definitely should have cast Gideon last turn. So, despite what it looks like with Gideon being an aggressive card, I actually just need to use it to establish control at this point. I'm not trying to kill my opponent through these spiders. I need, I don't have enough resources, and I need Gideon to be something that produces me resources. If you look at this, these are just Harness Lightnings that are going to kill something random, and that's it. Not good enough. So we get Pick the Brain, and I'm actually forced to fire a Harness Lightning in response to prevent getting the 2-for-1, because it does exile the other copies in my hand. So I just kill a random spider. I lose all my Anticipates. Whatever. I guess worse things have happened to me in my lifetime. And there's a Grimflayer that's basically signed up for the Harness. I draw, again, drawing Glimmer at these times is just the best thing possible. And I continue to just establish board presence with Gideon. So I fire down now. I don't think I had to kill that right now, but better safe than sorry, I think. I'm going to have to kill it on attack anyways. So Obnixilis resolves, and Sam starts taking up Will down on cards. I have to figure out how exactly I want to pressure that. And I shipped the Descend there. My logic is that I didn't really... I was afraid of these just being the thing that mattered then, even though I have Delirium for the Descend Angel. I maybe should have kept it, and the reason is that I'd be able to fight over an Ishkanah with it. If Sam gets back Ishkanah with like a Liliana and then casts it again, I don't have a lot of tools to whittle that away. So with all of my delightful lands, I chip away at Obnixilis. And again, I don't have a lot of resources, so I do need to use Gideon to continue to produce those. Liliana hits, and we got a bit of a problem now. I have to figure out how to beat Emrakul with a Summary Dismissal in the graveyard and 2 Gear Hulks gone. So Sam has 5 card types in graveyard and 7 lands, so he is only 1 away, which is a pretty big threat, and sticks a Grimflayer. So this is pretty bad for me right now. At this point, I decide it's time to try and actually kill a Planeswalker. These can handle stuff on the way back, but this actually forces a block because I'm going after the more important Planeswalker. Liliana doesn't matter. Drawing a card for a potential untap land does. The block's going to be forced anyways. So there's no way for me to kill Obnixilis with these attackers, but at least these hold back Quagmires. Well, this can trade for a Grimflayer. Also, the plus on Gideon does mean that Grimflayer doesn't one-shot it. This is a pretty straightforward block on my part, at least, in my mind. Flip it over, trade off, call it a day. Sam plays a tap land. And I get in some brawls and force some blocks with some Quagmires. I don't know if this is the right attack 100%, but I guess, so I think the bad part of this attack is I was trying to lead back a Knight to prevent this from getting attacked by 2 Quagmires. But at that point, Sam can just cast Emrakul, which is pretty bad. And the other thing I forgot about in this attack is that attacking Planeswalkers and letting them die actually puts Sam up a card type in graveyard. So he's just guaranteed to cast the Emrakul even if he gets to trade off a Quagmire, which is what does happen. So this attack was bad, and I'm trying to think what the correct attack is. I think I do have to pressure the Planeswalkers, but I think I was supposed to do it in a different way. I think I was supposed to go... I could leave Obnix on the battlefield. I think this knight was supposed to attack, and I don't know where. Probably Liliana, because getting back that Ishkanah is kind of threatening. So I probably should have ensured a Liliana death on this attack. But fortunately for me, Liliana still dies. Sam casts Emrakul, and his play on my turn is interesting. So, looking at his options, he can make sure I don't have a Gideon, which is, cast this, keep the new one, and then make an emblem, which I think is pretty obviously correct. And then the interesting thing that he does is he casts the Spell Queller, which I guess it depends on what other cards Sam is trying to resolve. Like a Liliana or whatever would be great. So on my free turn, I draw a Gear Hulk, and suddenly I see a pretty sweet out, which is Sam's at 16, and I've got 5, 11, 17 power on the battlefield. So I potentially have an out still. Sam casts a Liliana, doesn't do anything. I guess if Sam had plus Liliana on my creature, 5, 11, I'm exactly one short. He'd have to plus Liliana and not use Obnixilis, and that's a pretty narrow spot. But he makes the pretty obvious play of get something back. I think that he also did this wrong. I think he was supposed to plus Ob and then minus Liliana. So that he ended up getting back a Mind Rack Demon instead of the Ishkanah. But it's possible he could have gotten back Ishkanah if he had done it the other way around. And like if he had drawn it on tap land there. But Sam plays the Demon. I let it resolve because my goal is to convince Sam to attack with the Emrakul, which he does. I cast the Gear Hulk, kill the Demon, and just steal this game from what seemed like a pretty bad position due to a great top deck, which, at least in my experience, is how Emrakul plays out. You cast it, your opponent draws the best possible card, and then you lose the game after Mindslavering them. But I think the key incorrect turn in this game was casting the Gear Hulk instead of casting Gideon with Immolating Glare Up. And I just didn't consider that because the 2/2s are going to hold off spiders. So I should look back on that and just not get super excited about casting Gear Hulks in spots where I don't necessarily have to, I think is the lesson there.